certainly hope that everyone is being safe with the situations that we're all in. We're definitely thinking about all of you, and we definitely look forward to getting back to EWC Athletics here very, very soon. We want to welcome you into our EWC Sports Network exclusive, our interview with a man who is getting ready to complete his first full year at the helm of the EWC Athletic Department. He's our Director of Intercollegiate Athletics at Edward Waters College, Dr. Paul Bryant. Bryant, how you doing, my friend?
Man, I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing quite well. It just seems like everything is changing so much with everything that's going on. One minute we see a certain situation, it could take a left or a right turn. A lot of unpredictability right now, and it's really not lost on EWC athletics. We're unfortunately having to work from home and have to do some things creatively in that regard. I know you've had to make some split decisions and some quick decisions as we get more information as the days go along.
Yes, I have. I tell you, this has been something that no one had expected. I believe it started around the 5th or 6th of March, and it has really changed the landscape, not only of the world, but in particular to us, college athletics, and having to cancel our spring seasons, and then looking now into the summer, whether we're going to be able to host camps and things like that. And even, I was reading some documents the other day talking about whether we're going to have a fall season. And that is something that is definitely concerning because that is something that we had not expected. But you know what? We have to begin to plan as if we are, but in the worst case that we may not.
And you talked a few moments ago about the halting of those spring sports. I know we were in the middle of spring break, and we're sitting in the gym, you, me, and a couple of members of our basketball team and a couple of administrative staff members, and we're talking about getting ready for the baseball team getting ready to go on the road for a road trip against Thomas University. Softball getting set to host a weekend series, and all
Right.
of a sudden, when the NBA suspends their season, with Rudy Gobert being the first NBA player to come down with the coronavirus and things just rapidly happening. Again, just those quick decisions you had to make. Just talk about you being not only having 20 plus years of experience as an administrator in an athletic department, you've been a coach, you've been
Yes.
a player at a high level. For those student athletes to have their seasons unfortunately taken away from them as a result of the situations we're in right now with the coronavirus, just talk about what your thoughts on that from an administrative standpoint and really as a player and a coach's standpoint as well.
Yes, and I'll start as a player. As a player, as a former student athlete, that is something that I would not have wanted. I would want to figure out how can we play? What can we do? Can we do something to play? I just want to play. As a coach, I would think the same thing. Okay, this is an anomaly. How can we work it to where we can actually still play, but still be cautious? But then as an administrator, my first thought is, what can I do to protect my student athletes? And whatever that is, that's what I'm going to do. Whether it is popular by my student athletes or coaches, I'm going to do what's best for our student athletes. And I think that was where I started my decision. And so then when I looked at what's best for our student athletes, it was a no-brainer for me to say, we need to cancel. We need to stop. We need to cancel everything, bring our teams back, and then get them safe. I wanted to make sure that they're protected and safe. And once they were in a secure environment, then it began, okay, it's spring break time. They're going to be home. What do we do? Well, we don't want them to come back. We want them to stay where they were because that was where they were most safe. And then all of the quarantine and then everything shut down. Then it was paramount that we ensured that all of our student athletes were in their safe place and had adequate things like their food and all the things that they would need just to remain safe.
from an athletic standpoint, it really forces your coaches right now to be creative in terms of being able to have contact with their student athletes in terms of what they're doing in the classroom, with us going to an online system right now,
Right.
what they're doing in terms of being able to train for future seasons and their respective seasons coming up.
Right.
What are you telling your, and also with recruiting really being the lifeblood of
Right.
any successful athletics department and athletics program? What are some of the things you're telling your coaches and you're telling your staff in terms of their contact with the student athletes that they have on their respective rosters now, and people and those student athletes that they'll be potentially be able to bring in for the fall semester?
Yes, for me, the one thing I will say, Josh, is I like to make sure my staff are fine. My staff being the coaches, so I have a weekly conversation with them just to make sure that they're fine. Because we get in the habit of worrying about everything else and everybody else, and we forget about our own. And so again, I make sure that they're fine and talk to them, and we have different conversations. That's weekly. Now, taking the coaches, putting them, keeping them in the right mind frame. Okay, we do have to be strategic in how we approach this when it comes to training. So I've asked, and it's been completed. My strength and conditioning coach Marcus Richardson and Mr. Larry Bill, a head athletic trainer, to really create a workout video for our student athletes, for our population. And we know we can't get to the gyms and that sort of thing, but there's a lot of things that each one of us can do at home. And so they've created a video that they've given to every coach, given to, and it's out there on our social media so that they will see, the student athletes can log in and see what they need to be doing on a daily basis. And we've tailored it to each sport, for our coaches. And as far as recruiting, it's tough, but we begin to do some virtual things. And our institution is creating a virtual video, which is going to assist us in recruiting. But what we've done, we're doing things like this, create videos and making sure that we have a lot of Zoom calls and FaceTime, and just that we could we want to celebrate those student athletes who have said we're committed to EWC. And I think you have done a great job at making sure that when they mention EWC, that we capture that and we explore or exploit that on our website and all of our social media. And so that's a way that we stay in contact with our student athletes. I have encouraged all of our coaches to ensure that they are constantly conversating with seniors coming and transfers. Because if you think about it, the seniors, if it's particularly, well, all seniors, they have lost the last part of their senior year. And so that's troubling to them. And I make sure that our coaches are constantly reaching out to them. And I do want to say about the academic end before we go on, and you mentioned that, Jason Pompey and Miss Abiola Wilson Brigman have done an outstanding job, because I'm on the communication threads of talking to our student athletes about, make sure your FAFSA done, make sure that you're taking your classes, making sure that you're in your classes every day that you're supposed to. And so we're trying to keep track and keep them focused on still being successful, going through this trying time.
We're rapidly approaching, as we talked about at the beginning of our conversation. You're coming up on your first full year, 365 days under your belt. Time flies when you're having fun, Doc. At the helm of our department. What are your thoughts on where the department is now, as opposed to when you assumed the helm back on July 1? You mentioned your new hires a few moments ago with Abiola Wilson Brigman, our director of academic services, and Jason Pompey, our compliance director. To go along with the hires that you had, the staff that you inherited from the previous administration. Just talk about your thoughts on your first 365 days coming up here soon at the helm of the EWC Athletic Department.
Right. Well, I would like to think that when I inherited July 1 to today, that things have been better, and not that things were bad, but I like to make things better. And if you believe that you can't get better, then I don't think you need to be on my team. But I think I would think that we've done great things, from a Nike contract to You look at our unanimous invitation to the SIAC, um, to the bleachers, to the football stadium, to hiring of staff. I think we have done a good job, and I say we because it's definitely not me. I think it's we have done an outstanding job this year at improving in every area, and I'm pleased. I'm not satisfied, but I'm pleased with things the way they've gone, and I owe all of that to my staff.
Youth sports. We talk a lot about over the past few weeks in terms of the energy that we're seeing right now with the addition of the women's soccer program, with Kevin Mullen
Right.
taking over at the helm of the new women's soccer program that'll kick off here in the fall of 2020. Your thoughts on being able to add women's soccer to the EWC to athletics footprint,
Right.
and potential of any future sports that could be coming on to the EWC docket?
Yeah, adding soccer to me, once I sat down and did a horizontal assessment of the department, an assessment academically, financially, and just where we would like to be, and how to really bolster who we are, how to set a more solid foundation and propel a little bit. I thought soccer was something that has been the world number one sport. So, and I think it was something that we could do and do well. And so, as we look at strategically putting or adding sports, I'm looking at what can we do and what can we do well. I don't just want to do it and just to do it, just to be doing it. How I believe we can be very successful at it. So, was talking about it, then received an email from Coach Marlin and really engaged him, and we talked, and I knew it was a no-brainer to get him there, and by adding this is going to add a whole different population to us. A female sport, adding the female sport. I did classify our indoor outdoor coming this fall, so instead of having 10 sports, we coming this fall, we will have 13 sports. And I'm excited about that. Now, as we look to strategically place things, I'm looking at tennis being the next. I want eventually add golf, and I'm gonna tell you, I I added some lines on the football field that I just did it because I said as we look in the future, this could be a possibility. Lacrosse. So I did add those lines to our field just to be thinking strategically that that's something we want to do in the future.
Good deal. Good deal. Conference affiliation, that's been such a huge question that I've received personally. Some of the questions that our fans in Tiger Nation have asked a lot about in terms of where we are from a conference standpoint. We've had a good relationship with the Gulf Coast Athletic Conference and the NAIA. As you mentioned a few moments ago, last summer we did receive a unanimous invitation to rejoin the SIAC. Where are we in terms of conference affiliation, where we're at right now, and where you see potentially we could be going in terms of our conference affiliation?
Yeah, one of the things that I would like to say, when we got that unanimous invitation to the SIC, that showed me that they value who we are, but not that we're going to take it. We have that invitation, but it's very important that everyone knows that it's an invitation that, hey, if you if you apply to become an NCAA member in the Division II, then you have a conference that you can come to. What we're doing and what I'm uh, committed to doing is really taking a hard assessment of our athletics department. And if I feel, and I say I, but this is a President A. Zachary Faison. This is under his leadership. We take a hard look at whether NAIA is for us, and at this moment it is. This is the what's best for EWC, and that's what we're going to do. Our Gulf Coast Athletic Conference, we're married to that commitment, and or we're committed to that marriage, I should say. And we're I think our conference, the Gulf Coast Athletic Conference, is such a quality conference that I just don't believe we've taken advantage of all the things that we could. We are the only NAIA historical Black college conference, and we haven't marketed ourselves as that. And so that's what we have to do. We're in a unique situation. So think about it. NCAA Division One, they have two historical Black colleges conferences. NCAA Division Two, they have two. NCAA Division Three, how many are in NCAA Division Three?
None.
None. So NAIA, there's one. So we are it. So let's mark, we're one of the best. We are one. And so I think we have to start marketing ourselves as that. And I think we're, once we get everyone to buy in, and you know what, reading some of the emails and the memorandums from our president council, I think we have a core group of presidents that are committed to the GCAC. I know the athletic directors are, and I think this is going where the GCAC is going to go moving forward. I think it's going to be a very solid program.
One of the biggest things that you've been since you've been here at EWC is you really have had a very student-centric philosophy, whether it's the work that you've done, you and Abiola Wilson-Brigman and Jason Pompey have done in terms of formulating the AD's honor roll with honoring our student athletes for the work that they do in the classroom, and they've done tremendous work in the classroom, from the creation of the Tigers Den, a really a joint effort from everyone to be able to put that together for our student athletes to have something that they can be able to fuel themselves, to be able to help them not only on the playing surfaces but in the classroom as well, and the formation of the Student Athlete Advisory Council. I know that's what your biggest baby is, something that you're very, very proud of, even though you did put an Ohio native maybe at the helm of the department. Ohio native, there may be some funny business going on there. Let's talk about your student-centric philosophy, and
Yes.
I think that's definitely helped out since you've been at the helm of the department.
Yeah, student centered. You know what? And I say this, I've said this from day one. If you make every decision based on and keeping the student centered philosophy, you will make a bad decision, period. You will not, if you keep those students in the center of your thoughts, you will never make a bad decision. So adding something to reward them in the classrooms with the AD's honor roll is something that, they're student first. So I want, we do all in athletics, we honor them for all their athletic achievements and all that, which is great. But post that, and I never say that if they don't go pro, they have to have something to fall back, because I don't believe in falling back. We have other options. That degree is a major option. So I wanted to reward them and really motivate them to continue to be successful in the classroom. And so by creating that AD's honor roll, that was critical. And then when you talk about how they're successful on the playing surfaces, let's look at how them being successful in the classroom too. If I'm hungry, if I don't have the proper nutrition, my whole mindset is not to be successful at all. So when I'm talking about success, I want them to be able to come to the Tiger Den and get a nutritional snack where they're concentrating in the classroom, because I know once they're concentrating in the classroom, then they're going to concentrate on the playing surfaces as well. So I think it's a direct correlation. What you do in the classroom is how you perform on the field. So creating that nutritional holistic approach I think has been very critical in our success here at Woodwaters College.
Absolutely, man. Right now, with everything being what it is, with having to have video meetings and not being able to have people into your offices and be able to have conversations with them face to face, one thing that I've always noticed, and I've been really key about noticing this about you, in terms of being able to have people from outside be able to invest in EWC athletics, you don't use the word sponsorship. You use the word partnership a lot.
Right,
You use the word being able to have a partnership, to be able to have a partner, to be able to help grow EWC athletics. Your thoughts on being able to go out and solicit potential donors and potential partners to be able to be a part of the growth and the rapid growth of EWC athletics?
I use, and I'm glad you pointed that out, Josh, because one of the things that I've learned in this business, when you want corporate sponsors, they will be exactly that. They are not invested into what you're doing. I say partnerships because I want them to know, I want them to be a part of what we're doing. Because once you become a part and see what we're doing, then you're willing to put forth the necessary resources for us to be successful. So this is something, even though you're getting something as a partner, like I point this back here, you're getting something, but you're also giving something back. And so the president Faison say, if you're gonna do business with me, I got to do business. If I'm gonna do business with you, you got to do business with me. And you know what? I love that partnership. I've always, that's been my philosophy forever to create partnerships and not corporate sponsorships. And so yes, we have a whole lot of opportunities that are coming along. You know, with our new stadium, with our gymnasium, and all of our facilities. And I mean, we have so much growth that we could create with partnerships. It's really unlimited.
You spoke, speaking of facilities, that's our next point right now.
Okay.
One of the biggest things I know that really caught your eye when you accepted the position as the director of Intercollegiate Athletics is the building of the football stadium. And then when you got into the position, you saw the condition that the bleachers were in at the Adams Jenkins complex. Those things are rapidly changing. We put the video out a few weeks ago about the changes with the bleachers. And that's just the first change that you have planned for the Adams Jenkins complex. Just talk about the facilities. It's first the AJC, about how huge that is in terms of how we view ourselves at EWC and what potential recruits could look at EWC in terms of they're doing things like this. Maybe I should come and be a part of it.
Right. And I think the valuing who we are is critical. If you know, you look around, and our students nowadays, they look at glitz and glamour. They want to know, they want to come to a place that value themselves. And so when I came in on my interview, and the president told me that he's interested in they're building a football stadium, you know, that caught my eye. That was something, because this would have been my third one that I assisted in. And so it's like, okay, great. I know this, and I know what the impact it will be to have a stadium on campus. And so, and then as we walked through the gym, you know, my first thing was I saw the bleachers. I'm like, whoa, there's, we need some adjustment there. And I said, well, you know, if we put forth the effort and repair them or replace them, then I'm telling you, it makes a big difference in how people view us. And so now people are viewing us as, when you do see the bleachers, when you do see the stage, wow, they value who they are by the facilities that they have. And I want to say, you know, you look at our men's basketball program, they're adding different, they're upgrading their locker room. But when I got here, the women's basketball and the volleyball team shared a locker room. And then I looked, and we have two locker rooms that are only used during basketball season for visitors. So it's like, well, wait a minute. Let's separate our women basketball and our volleyball team and give the volleyball team their own locker room. And then we have areas for our softball and soccer over in James Will and Johnson's. So we're using, I mean, we're going to use our space and use it wisely, where everyone will have their locker room. We're not running into any issues with Title IX or anything like that. So that's something that's always on the forefront of my mind. And so we are upgrading all of our facilities, and our locker rooms getting painted, and I mean, it's exciting because these things are happening to our facilities. And when students come back in the fall, they're going to be pleasantly surprised about all of the additions and upgrades to our facility.
The pièce de resistance, the community field and stadium. I know every video that we put out just about every week, where we're letting people know the growth and the things that are happening at the what'll be the new home of the EWC football program and women's soccer program. You mentioned a few moments ago this will be your third stadium that you've helped to either build from the ground up or be able to have some additions and some renovations.
Right.
I know when you're able to have your own, it not only helps you at the gate, but also really helps you in terms of being able to bring in recruits. I know
Yes.
Coach Ruffin and Coach Mullen have had some success in terms of being able to go out and get student athletes to be a part of their respective programs as a result of that stadium being on campus. And I know it'll definitely help out the campus community as a whole, and that area that EWC sits in.
Right.
Your thoughts on the progress of the stadium now, the things that'll be happening at the stadium, and as we get closer to what we hope we'll be able to kick off on September 19th when we kick off the first home game against Lane College.
Yes, so I think the stadium is so big, not for only the campus community, but for our community, because we have a community track now. In our community, historically black communities, we have high obesity, we have high diabetes, high blood pressure, and now them being able to come to campus and walk on the community track, that whole wellness piece really fires me up, because it's looking like, okay, well, now we can engage the community a little bit more than what we are and what we have been. So now we some type of walking club, or running club, however they want to do it. But it is a walking track around it. So I think it's going to help the community. And as far as recruits, when you bring recruits on and you see that we have a football soccer stadium on our campus, not only for student athletes, but that's for the entire student body. They like to be a part of that. That shows success and that shows growth. And we're growing. And our tagline is emerging eminence. That's what you see. That's what we're providing. So I'm excited. I get fired up because again, this is a new time, new day for Edward Waters College, and I think, and I'm proud to be a part of
Season tickets. See, I've gotten a lot of questions,
it.
a lot of thoughts. A lot of people have come up to me and say, "Hey, when can we get season tickets? When can we, be able to get our packages and things like that?" What's your message to Tiger Nation in terms of potential season tickets, how they can get their hands on those tickets, and to be able to really be a part of what we're expecting to be a very, very banner 2020-2021 campaign?
Yeah, this is going to be not the season tickets are going to happen, and this is the commemorative season ticket because
Mhm.
this is the first year. So when you get this ticket, this is something that you're going to want to keep forever because it's the first package of season tickets. Not only are we going to include the football games, we're going to include our soccer games and our men and women's basketball. So we're going to create a package for our season tickets. The only thing we're waiting is coming, but we have to wait on the seating chart for the bleachers to really put that out there. But the season tickets are coming. You know what? Just like you getting calls, I get emails and calls almost daily about when are the season tickets? How can I get them? And that shows me that there's a genuine interest and excitement about what we're doing on campus.
We've got two EWC football players with the NFL draft coming up next week
Oh, yep,
that are really getting some notice from potential NFL clubs. Our tight end in Matthew Wilkerson, wide receiver in David Beeks. They would potentially be the first EWC football players to be drafted in the
yep.
NFL since 1967. So,
Oh, wow.
what that means to you, in your opinion, what does that mean in terms of being able to have those two young men be able to impact the NFL, impact football at a higher level, and what that means for EWC as a whole in terms of being able to, for potential branding and things like that, for them to say, hey, these are two products from Edward Waters College. Maybe I should take a look at EWC about being
Right.
involved in some of the things that they're being involved in, or for student athletes, maybe I should come there and play football because if they're finding them at EWC, maybe it's something I can be involved in as well.
You're right. One of the things that this will do, and I'm so proud of both of those young men, so proud of them, but they worked hard for it. They've worked their behinds off to get to where they are, to be seen, to be noticed. It's not where you are, it's what you do where you are.
Right.
And I think they have maximized their abilities at Edward Waters College to be seen by the NFL. And so yes, they have the talent. They are, I mean, it's exciting. I just reached out to Mr. Wilson the other day and just checked on him to see how he was doing. He was excited. You know, he said this is about to be an exciting time for him and again and his family. And I told him for Edward Waters College too, because every time they mention his name, they're going to say Edward Waters College. That is media exposure that we would not have gotten anywhere else. So as a recruit, I'm looking at, wow, if the coaches there prepared them for the NFL, I know they can prepare me. And that's what I'm looking at. And you know what? It's not about going to all the major Division Ones and the high major. It's about again what you do. And I'm going to give you these two names. I was blessed to have to been at South Carolina State as the athletics director when Javon Hargrave was a student athlete and he gets drafted. Just happened to be the rookie of the year, you know, and just and now just happened to be the highest paid defensive lineman in the NFL from South Carolina State. Then you look at Mr. Darius Leonard again, and these two young men constantly come through the office, just great young men. He gets drafted. Now he's the same way, Pro Bowl, and Darius Leonard is one of the top linebackers in the country. And that's little old South Carolina State, as they used to say. They're going to say the same thing about Edward Waters. You got Beeks and Wilkinson at little, as they say, EWC. Again, it doesn't diminish their abilities because they put in the work and they deserve to be where they are today.
Last question. How can Tiger Nation really be involved in what we're doing at Edward Waters? I know in the past you've developed, whether it's varsity clubs, Bulldog clubs at South Carolina State, varsity club that you helped to develop or helped to redevelop there at Grambling State. In terms of our fans in Tiger Nation to really be involved in the growth of EWC athletics, what's your message to them and what they can potentially be a part of again as we grow this thing to even higher levels?
Yeah, as we create this branding, this new brand, and you know our logo, what you have on back here, this it's new. And as we look to really capitalize on our brand, we need you to be a part of that. And you can be a part by not only being a financial contributor partner, but you can also come with your talents as well. We have areas that we have a stadium that we're going to be operating our games. There's areas that we need your help in. And so again, but for us to sustain ourselves, you know the financial resources are critical for us to sustain ourselves and to continually getting this type of student athletes we get. You know, we're scholarship driven. And so we need assistance in your scholarship. So there are so many things that you can do to help us out at Edward Waters College, and particularly in athletics. The only thing you need to do is email me at paul.bryant, Bryant, at ewc.edu, and then I can give you more information. We are going to have a lunch and learn where we're going to talk about all of our programs, and then we want you to come out. It's going to be virtual. You get to your computers and learn about how you can help EWC athletics.
AD Bryant, greatly appreciate your time. I know it's been a crazy time with everything that's gone on, but we greatly appreciate you taking some time to speak with us and to speak with Tiger Nation about what we're doing at EWC. Best of luck to you and your family. Hope you guys are staying safe. And as the old school Saints would say, God willing and the creek don't rise. We'll see you back at Kings Road here very, very soon. We appreciate it, Doc.
Hey, thank you so much, and go Tigers.
Absolutely. Tiger Nation, thanks so much for watching this EWC Sports Network exclusive. Of course, for all the latest news and inside information on EWC athletics, log on to EWCTigerPride.com. For our Director of Intercollegiate Athletics, Paul Bryant, I'm Joshua Jackson. We'll talk to you again next time. Stay safe. God bless. We'll talk to you again down the road. Tiger Pride.